How can you give a child an Android phone to do the assignment and all of those things? That is the reason why a lot of people are into Yahoo today. This is Omole Emmanuel and I'm the MOEST Manager. Okay, yes, speaking of Ogsera is a baby idea of Ogun State through the Commission of Education that became a reality. First and foremost, the government started out with public school, and as we speak today, 2 terms counting, the government have stopped the traditional way of running the school system in Ogun State, and which is now serving as a lead adventure for other states across the country. So as we speak, there is no primary and secondary school in Ogun State that is still doing manual result processing and taking of attendance and the likes. And in the days to come, more activity will be unveiled. So government now looked at it that, okay, speaking of this fact that we have been able to practically digitalize the teaching and learning in Ogun State public school, both primary and secondary, then how can we look around how to also make this rub up on private school? So that is what gave birth to the MOEST platform. Okay, yes, EduTAMS is a technology company that is into education, school management solution as service provider. Now, and also, speaking of who EduTAMS is, EduTAMS is a major consultant to the state government on education, and that is why we are here talking about MOEST today. Okay, yes, speaking on enrollment and onboarding of schools, yet it's just very simple and critical that Ogun State has mandated it that all private schools be digitalized. And speaking of this, we understand that acquiring technology in this 21st century is expensive and requires a lot of infrastructure. So that's why Ogun State government have decided to provide EduTAMS as a consultant, providing the MOEST platform that is cloud-based, which is easily accessed through your mobile phone and mobile devices and all the likes and laptop, and that reduce you the stress of setting up infrastructures and all of those things. So that is why getting your school up and running is very simple. What you need to do is I always advise school owners when I meet them, when I'm opportunity to speak to general house, that it is very important that in this 21st century that a school has its own personalized email. That shows that the school has an identity apart from having your approval. Yes, so a school should have its own personalized email. So when you're sending your school details, there are information you must send to make this up and running. Your school full name, the location of your school, you send to the ZEO, and the ZEO will do your profiling. So you need to send your school full name and the SPA details. The SPA details involve the full name of the SPA, the phone number of the SPA, preferably the school email. Peradventure, while the profiling is on, the school doesn't have a personalized email, they can send the email of the SPA. Thank you. The word SPA is an abbreviation which means School Portal Administrator. School Portal Administrator. That brings me back to what the federal government have been doing over the years. Now, because we're in the 21st century and the world is revolving around the internet, so it is very important that so that everybody will not be floating in the air. So everybody needs to have a unique identification. So when federal government started this gathering of data and all of this, they started out with BVN. So today, as you see in the banking sector, there is nobody without a BVN except if that person does not have an account number. So if you have an account number, you must have a BVN. So that means if you are if you're a student in Ogun State, you must have LIN. So you know, although over the time the process of getting this done has always been rigorous. Now you agree with me that over the years, government has started out with NIN, which is the National Identification Number. Now it was difficult for people to comply. It became the fact that if you don't have your NIN, you cannot renew your driver license. That means that all the drivers out there who were even in the trade had to get an NIN. So today in Ogun State also, the government felt that students will not be floating. How many students do we have? Because data is critical in planning. So Government wants to be answering a lot of questions using the data that are available. So it is important that every learner in Ogun State have this identification. So LIN means Learner's Identification Number. That is the meaning of LIN, Learner's Identification Number. Okay, yes. Speaking of LIN, for you to generate your student learner's ID, first you must have been profiled. Now, after you have been profiled, an email will be sent to you on how to an email that consists of your URL, your school URL, and your login details. Now, that login details is nothing far-fetched. It is the email you have sent to them and the default password of 125. So once you are logged into that, you have your own personalized portal. Change the color, load your logo, do a lot of your configuration. It's just a 5-step thing, and voila, you are in. So once you are in, there's a module that handles the generating of learner's ID. So that you're just 2 steps away, you have your learner ID. The next thing is that we always strongly advise that you complete your setup before you change your password. So once you've completed your setup, you can now go to the profile just at the right top, and you can see one email just right top of the thing. You see an image, just click on it, you bring down the drop down for you, select the profile there, then you can change your password from there. Okay, yes, I understand that there have been a lot of questions around syncing of record, blah blah blah. Now, speaking of syncing, now on your MOEST platform, there are some modules there, and the major thing is that government requires that over the years, government requires that you send in some details to them, tell me. Now, these details are still the same thing that government is asking on this platform, but to reduce the stress of you coming to the ministry often and often and often, so we said, now what you need to do, push your learner into the platform, update your records on the Ogsera module that is created for you. Click on the first button, which is generate learner ID. Once you generated the learner's ID, the next thing is to come back to that module again. Click on sync record. Now the sync record migrates your student record to the platform. This thing was deliberately not automated because of the fact that people would always want to do one thing or the other. So it is expected that every time school log in for whatever purpose and push their records to the ministry. So once you use that platform, so that platform talks to the main platform, which is the Ogsera platform, that the general public primary and secondary school data is. So, and from the MOEST platform is basically for private. So once you push your record, it goes into that main bucket where your learners records are migrated to. So the word syncing is a method of migrating your data from your platform to the government platform. So that's what the word syncing is. Yes. Now, there are basic information that the government needs. Like how many learners are enrolled in the school. Now, speaking of learners, the full name of that learner, the class that learner is as at least active 10. What is the age of that learner? And also, there are also some background information. So it is requested and required that we take our time to upload and update the learner's details. Now, over the time I sat down and listened to the commissioner address some information around learners, that learners' information are critical to them and they want this record updated as soon as possible. So when you're getting this thing done, it's just very important that we take our time to upload and update all this information, including the passport of this student. Now, the reason why you should also upload and update the passport of this student is because at the time when they are doing their placement, at the time when they are doing their birthday registration, then when they are doing their transfer, they want to know who is who. Also, I want to strongly recommend and suggest that we should reduce human error. Human error is always critical and it has a way of slowing down processes. So it's also important that you reduce human error. At the point when you're updating this record, don't mismatch, don't misplace, don't misload this record is just very clear. I don't mind that choice, but that's just to get you. The question you've asked is a policy related question, and I would answer that based on the interview that Dr. Mrs. Ogsera, the Deputy Director of Ogun State Ministry of Education, answered as one of the presentations. So I'll be quoting her verbally. Yeah. Now, she made mention that the system of education that is run is still static, and that have to be observed. Is still static. They said crèche is not recognized, and for that reason, what they recognize is the nursery and the primary 1 to primary 6. So they recognize KG class, which is 1. There's no KG 2. So they recognize KG 1, just KG. Either you call it KG 1 or KG 2. They recognize just 1 KG. They recognize nursery 1, nursery 2. They recognize primary 1 to primary 6. So we understand that some schools have been running crèche, play group, jump group, fight group, group, and you understand that some schools have been running primary 1 to primary 5. Government is saying that they don't recognize such. So it is very important that we key into the federal government approved system of education. Thank you.
Now my final question, it will be, we believe there is nothing free. There is nothing free. But we've heard some people saying free, or free. But I would love to ask this question, sir. Is the Ogmoest actually free?
Yes, I'm going to be very straight and blunt with my response at this point in time. MOEST is free, but there are some services that are not free. I must emphasize that. Some services are not free. So syncing of your record to Ogsera from the MOEST platform is free. There are some services that are paid services. The MOEST platform is a full integrated module for teaching and learning. So government is now saying that if you are interested in using these other services that is provided by the consultant, you can go ahead. Those ones are not free. And there's a pricing list that the consultant, which is that have released for those who will want to use these added services. Now, speaking of the added services, number 1 is the admission, which means that anybody from anywhere can apply to your school, write the entrance exam online, get admission letter online, make all your tuition fee online, and when that person is walking into your school, voila, it's just coming to just pick textbooks, uniform, straight to the classroom. Now, also, the bursary module. The bursary module permits you, if you are collecting cash, to update this cash record. Parents get the receipt online, despite that they gave you cash. That under your accounting section, this bursary does financial projection for you. You have 20 students in the classroom. What is the value of that 20 students? 10 of them are paid in full. What is the value of that 10? 5 in total payment. What is the value of that 5? 5 are outstanding. What is the value of these things? Now you wonder why banks are not talking to you. It's because they know you don't have a proper recording. So that is what this platform is doing for you. It's giving you a proper recording to have a financial projection that at the end of this time, this is what I'm looking at. Speaking of this, there is data privacy. Government does not have access to this information. And that is why there's an endpoint where you sync your record. There's an agreement that is signed between government and the consultant. And the consultant made it very clear that on no ground will they release some exclusive information to the government without the customer's prior notice. I'm going to give this case scenario. There was a time that a criminal was arrested by the FBI, and speaking of that, the US government was laying claim that they needed to access the person's iPhone, which has an app travel on it. And since it was provided by Apple, and Apple's head office said that they need access, and they made it very known that data privacy does not permit that if there's no, they need to seek the consent. And they didn't get that information. I don't know how the story ended, but the fact remains that that information was not reduced, was not released to them. So that was very clear. So that's also the argument that is on ground, that this information will not be released until it is clear. So also speaking forward, there's an online payment, which means that we understand that parents are not available at so many times. Some of them they want to pay you, but they are not opportunity to come. The question is, how do they get this money across to you? So it's just very important that this online platform is available, so parents can log into the platform and make their payments available also. Speaking of user management, it is very critical that we understand this. Now, we discovered that our research, speaking of our research as a consultant, we did this analysis and we found that the reason why parents move their students from one school to another is not basically because they couldn't afford the tuition. It's because of this singular thing. A parent is registered to your school. He doesn't have time to monitor his work. He doesn't have time to see what the performance of the child is. Now at the end of the day, the child is performing poor. He pushed the blame back to the school that the school is not doing all its work. No, he has failed as a parent. He pushed it back to you as a school, and you accept it. And now you are left. Now, so we provided a system that corrects that. So now, for us as an organization, we felt that it's very critical that when the parent logs in, he sees all these 3 or 4 words in your school. Now you can now log in into those children accounts, make payments, see if they have done the assignment, monitor his child. Then now, for example, my child was given an assignment and he has done the assignment, and I saw that he scored maybe 3/20. I'm now at the mercy of the school. Hello, dear administrator. Hello, ma. Please, my child is not doing well. Now this information is coming maybe at week 3. I want to quote, and you can quote me anywhere. So maybe you just make me a scholar. Omole 2022 states, so you can quote me anywhere, that in building and maintaining the standard of the school, feedback, the role of feedback can't be overemphasized. Now, because there is no feedback within the first week of resumption till the 13th week or 14th week when that child is receiving his result, that is why the parent is taking a decision that is not substantial, a situation that is been influenced wrongly, and that's why it's moving. But if that parent has been duly informed that the child is not doing well at the 3rd week, he will be properly informed, and you as a school owner can sit properly to defend the cause and now play an administrative role on counseling on how that child can get better. So the first come from the parent and also come from the school. So when you employ a technology like this that has user management that helps you, that give parent access to monitor their work, to student access to technology, they don't need a laptop, they just need a mobile phone and internet. Now the question, someone already asked the question, how can you give a child an Android phone to do the assignment and all of those things? That is the reason why a lot of people are into Yahoo today. I say this every time I'm opportunity to speak to the public, that number one is that our generation is a technology-centered generation, and you cannot take us away from technology. People who are born 1980 and above are technology immigrants, but people who are born 1980 below, they are technology native. They are limited and incapacitated to do anything without technology, and that's why it's as if these people cannot read and pass when you give them hard book. They just want to sit with gadgets. The question becomes that at what point did you tell your 3 or 4 years old child your password? Oh, now you remember that child has logged into your phone countlessly, even despite the fact that you have changed the password countlessly. Who told him? Did he hack your phone? Because they are in love with technology, and that's why today they are always everywhere, because these people are also in love with technology, but now they have been shown the other side of technology. So today you cannot deny them of technology. Maybe in one of our other sessions that we'll be having, I'll be speaking on how to manage technology around the homes. So I hope that the organizer will book me another session where I'll be telling you how to manage technology. So back to the module. So you have digital class that does the lesson notes, and the beauty about our lesson notes is there's an interaction section there where students can ask questions and teacher can, from the comfort of his room, can also reply. There's a chat system there. Also, speaking of our live class, students can, while it is ongoing, students can connect to the platform, attend lectures, even maybe 7 to 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. before they go to bed. Also, we have our recorded class. Now, speaking of that, for me, I think that the recorded class is one thing you don't want to miss. Let me quickly speak much on the recorded class. When we talk about our recorded class, it is top notch. Now, for example, I'm going to ask you a question. When a child doesn't resume with you at the beginning of time, resume at the 4th week, the question becomes, how do you tell that child to catch up? How does that child catch up with teaching and learning? Oh, you are guilty. Good. Now let me tell you this. How these are recorded classes answering that. Now the child is sick for 3 or 4 weeks. You give when the child resume back. Oh, welcome back. We love you. We miss you. We reached out to you. They will learn that you are sick. Oh, welcome back. You tell the child to go and copy notes and sit down with this man, thinking he's going to perform a miracle and catch up. Or you tell the child, oh, you will catch up next time. It is wrong. It is wrong. A parent can sue you for that. So that's why instead of having this crisis around the globe, we felt that let us provide a system. So at the beginning of the time, you record every lesson. Every topic is recorded against the lesson and is uploaded. A child is sick. When he's back or even at the sick bed, he's watching those recorded class. So exam is coming, the child is not wrapping his head and he's not under tension. He's just watching videos of past classes. Now it is week 6 midterm. He's not watching 6 to 12 videos, maybe 2 video per topic, and 12 videos is ready for the subject in the next day. Voila, no students, your school becomes the top notch and the top of the town. Is that catching your attention? Thank you. Now speaking on the next module, which is I'll speak on 2-in-1, the quiz and the homework. Speaking of the quiz, now the quiz systematically configure the student to be prepared for JAM, CBT. Oh, let me speak a little around that. Students today have difficulty passing JAM, not because they are not intelligent. Schools, I say this with emphasis, quote me again, Omole 2022, state and you quote, that schools around the globe today, basically speaking of Nigeria context, are producing more intelligent students, not smart students. Our schools today, you and I are the product of this, are producing more of intelligent students but not smart students. Now, let me explain that. An intelligent student is a student that is given 40 questions, 5 objectives, 1.5 hours, 2 hours to answer. And that child spent a lot of time trying to do that. It now comes to midterm. Now, remember that child did 16 subjects, 14 subjects. Gets to YF said do 8 or 10 marks. That child does it and is doing 8 subjects and is giving average 16 hours to do them. Now, JAM now says, all those I'm not interested, you are doing just for English, mathematics, chemistry, biology, and I'm giving you 45 minutes. Subject that this student will ordinarily use, let's say 6, 4, maybe 8 hours to do. It becomes a problem. That is why they can't do well. Now, so how are we answering this question? Our quiz system permit the student to be able, so when the teacher is setting questions, he said the answer, student does the marking, and he said, okay, for example, he's giving 20 questions and he's giving 1 minute. So he used 1 minute, and later it can be moderated. That is why you will agree with me that the students from basically the rural area does not at any point appear in spelling bee in mathematics competition. Why? Because for you to appear there, you must have interacted with technology. 1 plus 1, 2, 2 plus 2, 4, 12 plus 4, 8, 8 plus 8, 16, 16 plus 16, 32. And you know the thing just keep coming as if something is just telling them. It's because they are used to technology, they are technology inclined. And that's why we provide this to answer this. So we have our homework also, which is subjective, that allows students to get to interact, which is a comprehensive. And our result permits you as a teacher, as a school owner, to instruct your teachers to push in their record into, after marking, push them into the system. Provide you your summary sheet, your brush sheet, or your sheet, comment bank, and it's available. Let me give you this as an icing. Well, today we discovered, speaking, you can quote me, we discovered that a lot of people are living with teaching and learning system, and it is because of the fact that the method of delivering teaching and learning is tedious. Now, I'm giving this as a bonus. How can you simplify this that teachers will want to stay in your school and want to teach for a very long time? Scheme of work doesn't change every day. So it will take a whole session for you to get a scheme of work, a lesson note for your school that's standardized. So let your teachers start preparing them. Let them update them in a Word format or a PDF format. And you create a folder per class, per subject. Push them into your Google Drive. push them into a Google Drive, put them into a Google Drive. Teachers will not run away, teachers will not leave your school. Then you can from there now push into the platform. The platform also repeats all of these things for you as long as you stay on the platform. I just gave you that as an item to ensure that teachers have a reason to stay in your school. Thank you.